Hello everybody, my name is Augustine. I'm from NOVI Health. Welcome to the NOVI Show, where we will be talking about everything related to chronic diseases. Today, we will be answering a question that a lot of our patients have asked us over the years, which is what snacks can I buy from the supermarket that is good for diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol? Are you ready? Let's go. Hello everybody. So today we have with us two of my teammates from NOVI Health. We have Ruth and Dr. Carl. So Ruth, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Ruth, and I'm actually the dietitian at NOVI Health. So I actually spend a lot of my time working with chronic disease patients, and I really aim to help people to still enjoy their meals while getting better control over their health.
Okay, thanks for that, Ruth. So Dr. Carl, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Kyle. I'm a consultant specialist in preventive medicine. I specialize in helping individuals get healthier, looking at signs of early chronic disease as well as preventing these chronic diseases. I also help individuals who have chronic disease better manage their condition in a holistic manner.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let me explain the concept for today's video. Basically, we have with us 5 different snacks, classical snacks that Singaporeans really love eating. And Carl, together with Ruth, will help us to review these items. And actually, we have prepared with us for today one box of healthier alternatives. So once we have finished reviewing each of these items, we will tell you guys how to make things healthier and what are the alternatives that you can try. Okay, so before we start reviewing the food items, let's have Ruth tell us actually what is the big problem with snacking? Why is it an issue?
So with chronic disease, I think most of the time people are also trying to control their weight because we know that if you are overweight, it increases your risk of diabetes, high cholesterol, even high blood pressure. So snacking just means that it could be extra calories that we're consuming. And so the types of snacks that we consume, usually from the supermarket because they are processed, so usually there's added fat, and usually it's saturated fat or trans fat, which is the fat that is going to affect our cholesterol levels. They usually also have added sugar, added salt, so that can also affect our blood sugar control and also our blood pressure. And overall, if you're consuming extra calories, then that's not going to help with trying to maintain a healthy weight. So we really want to be quite careful about what we're choosing to snack on, just to make sure that we're not having any extras in that sense.
I see. Okay. So maybe Dr. Kang can help us understand really why is it a problem that people with chronic disease patients get heavier? Like, what does it increase their risk for complication? What does it actually mean?
Yeah, that's a good question, Augustine. So in general, we notice that when you are at a higher weight, when your BMI is over a certain threshold, you tend to be more likely to develop chronic disease. And we also see a correlation between higher BMI and poorer disease control. So that's why weight is actually a very important factor when we're trying to prevent or to manage chronic disease. In particular, as Asians, we may look skinny on the outside, but once we start to put on a little bit of weight, we tend to put on weight in the wrong places. So it tends to be not so much in the subcutaneous area where it's visible, but maybe around your organs, which actually really increases your risk of developing chronic diseases like diabetes. That's why it's important to keep a healthy weight.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Actually, quite a number of my friends have high cholesterol at a very young age, which is quite surprising. They look skinnier than me, but my cholesterol. But yeah, anyways. So okay. Other than that, there's something that I've always wanted to ask. So, is it only like diabetes patients have to pay attention to the sugar content of food items, and then high blood pressure have to pay attention to sodium, and high cholesterol patients have to pay attention to cholesterol, or is it really generally people need to pay attention to all this?
In general, everyone should be paying attention to what they eat. You don't develop chronic disease overnight, so it's really what you've been putting into your mouth, into your body over many, many years that actually leads to some of these development of these conditions. So using diabetes and sugar as an example, so we're talking about not just sugar that we're familiar with, like sugar that you add to your coffee, but also carbohydrates in your rice, your bread, etc. What happens is that the more that you take these foods, the more you work your pancreas, which is the organ that produces insulin to help regulate your blood sugar. So imagine your pancreas as a worker, right? Like when you get worked a lot more because you are eating so much more bread, you are going to get tired more easily, and eventually you'll be so exhausted that you don't work anymore, and that's when you start to get diabetes. So over 10 years, if you're working your pancreas so hard by eating a lot of these foods that are high in sugar, high in carbs, then that's when you increase the risk of developing diabetes when your pancreas gets tired.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So, well, thanks for giving us a brief introduction to why snacking is bad. Or not really bad, but why it can be an issue for chronic situations. So now let's review all these classical snacks item, right? So for first item, we have our sugar cracker, our sotapia, which my grandparents love eating, and Milo, right? Another very common thing that people eat in Singapore. So, Ruth, can you let us know what you think of these items?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think from the name itself, you can tell that there's added sugars in these crackers. And a lot of these crackers, they don't have a lot of fiber as well. And people love to eat this with Milo. I think as Augustine has pointed out, this is actually quite a good option because this one, we can see that they didn't add extra sugar. So Milo itself already has sugar, but for this one, they didn't actually add. So it's probably going to be one of the better options if you want to have Milo. Okay. But the thing is, I think Dr. Kao was also mentioning earlier about, stressing the pancreas a little bit. So because this is high in sugar, high in carbs, and then there's more sugar from the Milo, what happens after you have this is that, it could then cause a sugar spike. And then, so your pancreas responds by producing more insulin. And so when you produce more insulin, that's when some people then get like a sugar crash later on. So that's why sometimes, after lunch in the mid-afternoon, some people start to get hungry and tired. It's usually because, they might have had a big rice or noodle meal for lunch. And then after that, when the sugar crash happens, they start to feel hungry, they start to feel tired. So so you could be having this snack, but you could find that, you start to get hungry very quickly after, and then that makes you want to eat more. And as we spoke about earlier, we still want to be controlling how much we're having because these could be extra foods that we're having in a day. So the recommendation would be really to find higher fiber options if there are. So I think we have some.
You can open a magic box. Okay. Magic box. So
so I think for cream crackers, we do have higher fiber options. So those that say high fiber would probably be better options to have because first thing is they have higher in fiber, so they will help in the blood sugar control. So they prevent it from spiking too much. Second thing, this one doesn't have added sugar. So it also helps to prevent the blood sugar levels from going too high. So this will be a good option. And then so this Milo is quite a good one to have. If you can use as little powder as possible, that's probably good. And then if you need to, you can add some milk to it because having extra protein from the milk can also help you to feel fuller for longer and also help with the blood sugar control.
Okay, so I noticed something quite interesting. So even though some products might say no sugar added, but it doesn't mean that there's no sugar inside. It just means that they don't add additional sugar into the ingredients, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So you will see, even on juices, you will see no added sugar juices, but because fruit itself already has sugar, so if you look at the labels, you actually still find that there is still sugar listed on the nutrition information panel.
Oh, okay. And then the other point you were saying is if you eat something that's very high sugar or high carbohydrate, then your sugar will spike.
Yes.
And it will also drop very quickly, which will make you feel tired.
Yes, and you might even feel hungry as well.
Also, that's what people mean by food coma.
Yes.
That's
actually what happens.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, but now let's move on to the second item, right? Which is your a lot of us have it for breakfast, which is your white bread and your kaya butter lah. So Dr. Carl, would you mind running through this item for us?
So the white bread that we're looking at is exactly what I had mentioned a little bit earlier about carbs. So carbs, there are two types of carbs, right? Refined carbs as well as your whole grains. So bread is an example of a refined carb where most of the nutrients have actually been stripped from the flour that goes in. So basically all the fiber, the good things that Ruth had talked about, they're no longer in this bread, and basically what you're eating, it's just purely carbohydrate. This means that the bread actually gets digested really quickly. It can then cause a really sharp increase in sugar, which is why we want to choose breads that maybe still have some of these healthy things like protein and fiber that are still within, rather than this option. The kaya that we have here is something that is a local favorite. So kaya, unfortunately, the way that it's made, there's a lot of added sugar to give it that sweetness and that taste, and it's also rather high in fat. So in addition to being high in sugar, it's also high in calories. So as a spread, it can be bad for the two things that we talked about, weight as well as the amount of sugars that you are taking.
Oh, okay. So then let's talk about the alternatives. What alternatives? Okay, so bread is wholemeal bread lah.
Yeah.
Right. Which is about the GI that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, so this wholemeal bread, you can see that it's mentioned here. I mean, you can see from the texture and the color that there is a lot more fiber within the bread itself. There is also additional nutrients, micronutrients, so your vitamins, your minerals, that because of the husk of the bread that's still preserved within the bread, you get all of this that you don't really get within this white bread that you see here. So that's the additional benefit of taking this sort of wholemeal bread. You really get a lot more bang for the piece of bread that you are eating.
Oh, okay, cool. So then we have this one. This is to replace alternative for kaya, right?
Yes. So both options are actually quite good to eat with bread instead of kaya. So here you have peanut butter. Peanut butter is high in healthy fats as well as protein. This particular peanut butter has no added sugar, so it's not the processed sort of peanut butter where there's a lot of added sugar. So this is what Ruth was talking about, having added sugars versus no added sugars. This is a good option because you get a little bit of protein in your diet in the morning, and there's also healthy fats which can actually keep you full for longer. So you don't actually get so hungry so quickly if you use this as an option with your bread in the morning. This tuna is also a very good option. It comes in a very healthy sauce. It's in extra virgin olive oil, again a healthy type of fat. So tuna itself is high in protein, coupled with the olive oil that it's soaked in. You actually get a good mix of protein and fat. Again, this keeps you full for a long period of time, and at the same time you get the protein and the other nutrients that you need. So definitely a lot better than the kaya that you see here.
Okay. So healthy fats is it the unsaturated one or the saturated fats?
There are a few types of fats. I think maybe Ruth, you want to talk about the different types of fats that are available?
Yeah, okay, so we have, like you say, healthy and unhealthy. So the unhealthy ones are really saturated and trans fat. So they are found in fatty meats or chicken skin. A lot of the processed foods will contain unhealthy fat. So like they will always list like the saturated fat, trans fat. And usually it's because they use a lot of vegetable oil or shortenings in making these products. And these are actually the bad fats that that are going to affect your cholesterol levels. But if we so the healthy fats are found in peanuts, tuna. So tuna is high as tuna, sardine are high in omega-3. Olive oil is also a good source of healthy fats. So a lot of our healthy fats are really found not so much in the processed foods, but in more of the natural sources like Dr. Kao has spoken about. So the peanut butter, tuna, sardine, these are probably better sources of the fats that we want.
Okay. So the unhealthy is the saturated and the trans fat. Then the healthy one is the unsaturated fat.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the third item. So this will be our, again, very classic potato chips that everybody love to eat. I think maybe Ruth can help us to go through this item.
Yeah, okay. So potato chips, I think everybody knows it's unhealthy. I don't think we need to argue about that. So why do you think it's unhealthy? What do you think?
I think probably got a lot of sodium.
Yeah.
Probably got a lot of fat also.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if we just look at this label, we see that, in just this one packet, there are 4.5 servings, and nobody eats this 4.5 times, right? Everybody finishes
Everybody
this.
probably eat 4 packets.
Yeah, most people will finish this in one sitting, at most 2. So, based on the serving size, I think it's very easy to tell that we are already consuming a lot more than we need. Because I think one of these packets alone will already be more than 400 calories, and that's really the calories of almost one meal. Yeah, and then like Augustine mentioned, it's a lot higher in sodium, very high in fat, and especially the saturated and trans fat that we just spoke about. So really it's not feeding us with nutrition. All we're getting is calories, we are getting fat, sodium, but in terms of, vitamins, minerals, fiber, there's basically almost nothing. So if you're eating just for the crunch, then you can go for vegetable chips. So I think today we have snap peas. So these are baked. Okay, so potato chips are all fried, so they're a lot higher in fat. But if you can find baked crisps, okay, they still have that crunch. Other options are like kale chips, broccoli chips, and if they are baked, then they're going to be using a lot less oil, so fat content is going to be lower, and because they are not as processed, sodium content is going to be lower as well. So these will be better options if you're just looking for a crunch. Yeah.
Okay. And we have baked almonds.
Yeah, so nuts is another option. So nuts, I think as Dr. Kao has mentioned earlier, is also a source of good fat. So the source of unsaturated fats, we can find that in nuts. So instead of having, the saturated fats from our chips, we can get a better source of fat from nuts. But do note that nuts still contain, because it's high in fat, it still contains quite a bit of calories. So if you're having it, we still want to control the amount that we're having. But that being said, nuts are a good source of healthy fat, good source of fiber, also very, very low in sodium, so it's a good snack to have as well.
Yeah, well, I think these are very dangerous. Look at this, because it's so easy to eat a lot, right? Like this one serving is 90 and this one pack is 4.5 serving. So that's what, 300 plus calories in just this one packet that you can probably finish in like 15 minutes. So yeah, dangerous. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to number 4, which is hidden here. So this is our ice cream, cornetto. Okay, so Dr. Kao, would you mind telling us what is the issues with ice cream?
Yeah, I really like eating ice cream as well, but that's something that I try to moderate because ice cream is high in calories in general and also very high in fat. So if you look at, this is actually a mini cornetto, is it? Or a normal size?
I think it's a normal size one.
It's a normal size one. So the normal size cornetto here, you can see is already 270 calories. So as an after dinner snack, right, that you take, it's already super high in calories. On top of your dinner, you're adding this onto it.
270 calories is almost like a bowl of rice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it contains mostly like what Ruth had described, the unhealthy type of fat, saturated fat, which doesn't really do our cholesterol levels any good. And the rest of it, of course, is sugar, because it's very high in sugar. That it gives the ice cream the flavor and the taste. So basically what you're consuming here, there's not much nutrients, but really just a lot of very unhealthy fats as well as sugar. So while very, very tasty, not exactly very nutritious and doesn't contain nutrients that your body needs more of.
Okay, so then our magic box, the solution, it is,
So this is a yogurt with no added sugar. So it's important that the yogurt has no added sugar. You will still see that there is some sugar within the yogurt that comes from the natural lactose that the yogurt may have, which is a form of sugar. But without added sugar, it's actually a very healthy option. If you look at 1 cup here, it's about 4 grams of sugar in total, compared to this ice cream here where 1 stick contains about 20 grams. So that's about 5 times as much sugar in 1 stick of ice cream compared to your little pot of yogurt here. And in terms of calories, this is about 60 calories, whereas this is about 270. So that's again about 4 times to 5 times more calories in this ice cream cone compared to the yogurt. You might think that the yogurt is quite plain tasting, but you can always add fresh fruit to get your daily intake of Okay, maybe not an apple with the yogurt, but maybe berries might go quite well with the yogurt. So that gives you that a little bit of sweetness with the yogurt as well, and you still get to enjoy the best of both worlds, where you get your fruit plus something creamy to go with after dinner.
Okay, cool. That's very good. Okay, so we go on to the last item. which is something that I always have for supper. Cup noodles.
Oh.
Okay, Ruth, let us know what's the issues with cup noodles.
Okay, so with cup noodles, same thing. It's a processed product, right? So sodium content is going to be very high. Usually our recommendation per day is 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day. This cup alone already contains 1,660. So that's basically almost your whole day sodium allowance. So it's a bit high in the sense, okay? And then again, we see that it also has saturated fat, which is also the fat that we don't want. So that's really very common across, a lot of processed foods. Sodium, the bad fats that we don't want, they are usually quite high in those. Calories wise, so 1 cup of this is about 300 calories. So again, it's quite high for a snack. And it's almost like going to be almost the calories of a meal. But it's hard to find alternatives for this because anything you do to it might not be as nice. We understand that. So our recommendation would probably be, just don't have it as often. So maybe, once every 2 weeks, you can have a cup. But really this should not be a regular snack that you're having. So feel free to mix your snacks up. But as much as possible, do try to choose healthier snacks. So you have your nuts, or sometimes you can even just have a fruit because those are going to fill you up a lot more, and you will know that you're feeding your body basically with the nutrition that you need. Yeah.
Okay. So if I have a cup noodle for my supper, right? I mean sometimes people tell me just don't drink so much of the soup. Does that actually help slightly? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you're really having it, if you can have less soup, definitely you're cutting down on the sodium, you're cutting down a little bit on the fat. So if you can do these things, it will definitely help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still just try to limit as much.
Yes. So it should be an occasional item.
I try. Okay. Well, so these are the 5 items that we have for today. You have your sotapia, we have your bread and kaya, you have your chips, you have your ice cream, and you have your cup noodles. And basically today we've reviewed some of the basic principles of snacking. So really the issues with snacking is the lack of nutrients in the snacks that we usually consume, added calories leading us to get overweight, and then and that increases our risk for coronary diseases and also increases the risk of complications. So we have prepared a blog post that really sums up all of this information plus a little bit more items that we don't have enough time today to cover in this video. So if you're interested, take a look at the blog post below to find out more. Of course, we will be releasing more videos talking about various other questions related to chronic diseases very soon. So don't forget to follow our channel, like us and subscribe. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks everybody. See you.
Augustine.
Bye.